Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. I'm so glad you're joining us today because we have a really intense mission for this one.
Yeah, intense is definitely the word for it. It's one of those topics that really hits close to home for a lot of people.
Exactly. So today we are unpacking a highly sensitive, but honestly completely crucial topic. We're looking at the hidden, often really disturbing dynamics of intimacy and toxic relationships with a narcissist.
Right. And specifically, we're basing this on some fascinating insights from Mustafa Say about the 5 weird sexual habits of a narcissist.
Yeah, and the reason we are doing this deep dive is because if you, or maybe someone you know, has ever felt um, like just an object in a relationship, or if you're constantly questioning your own self-worth when it comes to intimacy, well, this is going to connect a lot of dots for you.
Oh, absolutely. Because the thing we have to understand right up front is that in this context, intimacy isn't actually about connection at all.
Right, it's an illusion.
Exactly. It's a complete illusion that covers up their need for control.
Right.
The physical act is just a tool for them.
It's just a vehicle. Wow. And, before we jump into the very first pattern of this control, I just want to give a quick reminder. If you enjoy unraveling these complex psychological puzzles with us, go ahead and hit subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never miss a deep dive.
Yeah, because we've got a lot to unpack here.
We really do. So let's just get right into it. Walk us through this very first pattern, which, from the sources, really revolves around the ultimate narcissistic currency, right? Control.
Yeah, control is everything. So the first pattern is what we can call the light switch dynamic. Basically, intimacy is like a literal light switch in the house, but the narcissist has put a lockbox over it, and they are the only one with the key.
Oh man, that is such a perfect way to describe it. So they dictate exactly when the lights come on and when it stays dark.
Precisely. When you, the partner, actually want closeness,
Yeah.
when you reach out for intimacy, the switch is firmly off.
Because they want to deny you that power.
Right. Fulfilling your needs feels like they're losing dominance. But on the flip side, when the narcissist wants it, the switch is on, and it is mandatory, like non-negotiable.
Regardless of how the partner is actually feeling, like whether they're exhausted or just not in the mood.
Oh, totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
You'd be exhausted from working a double shift. You could be literally sick with the flu or just mentally drained. It does not matter to them.
It's like trying to fix a perfectly good car, right? And you're wondering why it won't start, but the driver just outright refuses to turn the key.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the source points out something really specific here. If you actually try to set a boundary and say no, the narcissist will immediately resort to threats.
Wait, like what kind of threats? Just getting angry?
Worse, they'll often imply infidelity. They'll say something like, well, if you aren't going to do this for me right now, I know plenty of people who will.
Oh, that is so manipulative. It's a blatant coercion.
It is. The entire goal is to make your personal needs and your physical boundaries feel completely irrelevant.
And the tragic real-world consequence of this, which the source mentions, is that the partner internalizes all that rejection. You start changing your diet, you buy different clothes, you change your perfume.
Yeah, you stand in the mirror thinking, what is wrong with me?
Exactly. Why don't they want me? When the reality is, the issue was never about your attractiveness in the first place. It was just a power play.
It's completely structural. The narcissist is just actively erasing your boundaries.
Which is just so exhausting for the partner. Just every day, grinding control. But that leads me to ask, what happens when the narcissist actually loses that control, like during a massive argument?
Oh, that brings us right into the second pattern, which is the bizarre urge they have for intimacy immediately following a really severe fight.
Right, the post-storm makeup ritual. But we should clarify, this is not normal makeup sex, right?
No, not at all. Normal makeup sex in a healthy relationship is about repairing a rupture. It's like, I'm sorry, I love you, let's reconnect.
Yeah, it's mutual vulnerability.
Exactly. But with a narcissist, the source clarifies that they are actually stimulated by seeing you in pain.
Wait, really? Stimulated by the pain?
Yeah, seeing you vulnerable or broken after they verbally battered you, it gives them a rush. During the argument, they felt like they were losing their grip on you, which terrifies their ego.
So the physical act right after is just about regaining that dominance they felt they lost.
Precisely. There is no soul in it. There's no real affection. It's pure objectification to make them feel like, the king or queen of the universe again by basically conquering a broken partner.
That is incredibly dark. But I have to ask a question that I think a lot of people listening might be wondering. If the partner is so hurt, if they've just been yelled at and degraded, why do they actually agree to be intimate in that moment?
That is the crucial question. And to answer it, we have to look at the science from the source material. It's what we call the trauma bond cocktail.
The trauma bond cocktail. That sounds like a terrible drink.
It really is. So during a massive fight, your body is in full fight or flight mode, right? You're dealing with intense stress.
Yeah, your heart is racing. You're panicked.
Right, your brain is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. You're in a state of sheer terror. And then suddenly, the narcissist shifts gears into intimacy.
And what does that do to the brain?
Well, the post-intimacy feel-good hormones, like oxytocin and dopamine, they wash over that terror. It creates this incredibly dangerous chemical dependency in your brain.
Oh, wow. So your brain literally gets addicted to the relief.
Exactly. It's the only fleeting moment where the victim feels free from the panic of the argument. You're biologically conditioned to associate your abuser with safety.
That is terrifyingly mechanical. It's literally hacking your nervous system.
It really is. It ceases to be about desire and becomes purely about biological survival.
Which honestly links so seamlessly into the third pattern. Because if the narcissist views this all as mechanics and dominance, it explains how they physically control the listener's body during the act.
Yeah, the physical restriction is a huge part of it.
Before we dive into that third pattern, though, I just want to pause for a second and check in with you, the listener. Because, I mean, we are really in the deep end here, and this information is heavy, but I think it's also incredibly mind-blowing and validating if you've been through it.
It really validates that you aren't crazy. This is a documented pattern of behavior.
Absolutely. So if this is giving you those light bulb moments, gently reminding you again to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so we can keep exploring these eye-opening deep dives with you.
Definitely. So moving to that third pattern.
Right. The mannequin effect.
Yeah.
Outline this passive dominance for us.
So pattern 3 is passive bodily dominance. The narcissist heavily prefers positions where your body is essentially locked down.
Like physically restricted?
Yes. Pinned arms, pinned legs. They want to treat you like a puppet or a lifeless mannequin.
Because a mannequin doesn't have a voice. It doesn't have agency.
Exactly. If you actually try to actively participate, like if you try to touch them back or change positions, they will shut that down immediately.
Wait, they stop you from participating in your own intimate life?
Yes, because active participation introduces equality. And the source highlights a specific type here, the somatic narcissist.
Okay, what is a somatic narcissist?
A somatic narcissist is someone who derives their ego and their power entirely from their physical body. Their attractiveness, their perceived sexual prowess, they use all of that purely as a tool for narcissistic supply.
Oh, I see. It's not about making love with you, it's a performance. It's like, and forgive a dark humor here, but it's essentially like someone giving a standing ovation to themselves in a mirror.
That is a brilliant way to put it, yes.
Right, like, bravo to me, look how great I am. They're just inflating their own ego while using your body as a prop.
It's the darkest form of vanity. They are making love to their own false self. Engaging with you as a real human being is actually terrifying to them.
Because it requires them to step out of their ego. And, you know, if they are essentially all alone in their own ego during intimacy, that explains why they might prefer something completely artificial over a real person.
Which brings us right to the fourth pattern.
The virtual escape. Let's get into the artificial versus reality dynamic.
So pattern 4 is about constructing a virtual world. Specifically, the source talks about the non-consensual use of pornography during intimacy.
And we should be super clear here. We aren't talking about couples who mutually decide to spice things up together.
No, not at all. This is unilateral. This is the narcissist actively choosing artificial screens over the real, vulnerable human being who is right there in front of them.
And doing it without the partner's consent, which is just so disrespectful. But why? Why a screen over reality?
Because connecting with reality requires vulnerability. It requires honesty. And to a narcissist, being vulnerable makes them feel weak.
So they're hiding.
Yes. They're internally empty and terrified of their own repressed emotions, so they hide in fantasy. A screen makes no emotional demands on them.
But let me push back a little here, or at least play devil's advocate for the partner's experience. Doesn't that make the partner feel incredibly inadequate? Like you're right there and they're watching someone else.
Yes, it makes the partner feel terribly inadequate. But here is the twisted part from the source. The narcissist actually wants you to feel inadequate.
Wait, really? They do it on purpose to hurt your self-esteem?
Exactly. Because if you feel inadequate, they don't have to take responsibility for their own emotional deadness. It's cruel manipulation.
Wow. So they project their emptiness onto you. They'll invent excuses like, well, you just aren't attractive enough or you aren't adventurous enough.
Right. It's all designed to deflect from the fact that they lack the emotional hardware to truly connect.
It's just a digital wall they build to keep you at arm's length. And, it's so clear that all of these patterns, the control of the light switch, the trauma bonding after fights, the physical restriction like a mannequin, and now this virtual escape, they all just compound over time,
They do. And they eventually lead to the inevitable final stage of the relationship.
which is segment 5, the absolute death of intimacy.
Yeah, this is the fifth and most destructive pattern, the complete death of the intimate connection and just the mechanical, cold use of the body.
Walk us through the timeline of this, because it doesn't start out cold, does it?
No, it starts hot. It starts with intense love bombing. The narcissist makes you feel incredibly desired, like you're the center of their universe, but that is purely a strategy to hook you.
Like a fake resume they present to get the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once you are hooked and emotionally invested, they strategically withdraw that intimacy. They starve you of it to breed self-doubt.
And the source mentions that this can go in 2 different directions, right? Like some narcissists become completely untouchable.
Yes, some narcissists are what we can call internally dead. The idea of any genuine touch terrifies them, so they violently reject it. You try to hold their hand and they snap at you.
Oh, that's so painful. And what about the other direction?
The other direction involves the somatic narcissists we talked about earlier. They might maintain intense physical chemistry, but it is completely devoid of any emotional warmth.
So the mechanics are there, but the lights are out.
Right. And that causes massive cognitive dissonance for the victim. You're physically close, but emotionally, they're a million miles away.
Just reflecting on the ultimate tragedy of this dynamic, the listener, the partner in this scenario, is just craving basic emotional warmth, but they are treated like a discarded toy.
A discarded toy is the perfect analogy, because once the physical act is over, there is no aftercare.
There's not even basic decency. The source says they won't even make eye contact or offer a hug when it's done.
Nothing. The moment they get their ego validation, you cease to exist to them.
You're just put back on the shelf. It's just heartbreaking. Well, as we begin to wrap up this conversation, I want to turn back to you, the listener, and really consolidate what we've learned today.
Yeah, the main thread connecting all of these 5 sources and patterns is pretty clear.
A relationship with a narcissist is essentially an exercise in objectification.
It really is. And if you have experienced this, we want to reiterate, the rejection, the coldness, the impossible standards, none of that is a reflection of your worth.
Not at all.
It is solely a reflection of the narcissist's internal void. You were trying to build a connection with someone who just doesn't have the tools to build anything real.
Exactly. It's not your fault that the bridge couldn't be built. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this really intense but necessary journey today.
It was a heavy one, but so important.
Truly. And reminding you one last time, please subscribe, turn on your notifications, and share this deep dive with anyone in your life who might really need to hear it right now.
Because feeling seen and understood is the first step to healing.
It really is. And before we let you go, I want to leave you with one final lingering question to ponder on your own. It builds on everything we've talked about from the source material today.
I love these final thoughts.
Right. So we've learned that a narcissist's entire approach to intimacy is built on maintaining absolute control. They enforce physical dominance to hide their internal emptiness. But what happens to that incredibly fragile ego years down the line?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
Yeah, think about it. When age naturally takes away their physical prowess, when they no longer have the energy to dominate, and the mannequin finally figures out how to walk away, who are they left with in the dark?
That is chilling.
Something to think about. We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Take care, everyone.